Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Varun Pawar, and I am a CBAP professional. And welcome back to my channel, that is Business Analysis Professional. So far, what we have covered the two knowledge areas. The first one is the strategy analysis, and the second one, the BAPM, that is Business Analysis Planning and the Monitoring. And today we'll talk about and we'll discuss the third knowledge area, which is elicitation and the collaboration. So what is elicitation and collaboration? So basically elicitation is something like you are talking with the stakeholders, different stakeholders to gather the requirement or to discover the need. So this is, in simple words, it's just a discussion with the stakeholders together or to get the information need or requirement. And the collaboration is you are the way you are organizing the activities, organizing the meetings, and the flow of the information in between you and different stakeholders. This is basically a collaborative approach, like it's not a one side, rather both the parties, you and the stakeholders, discuss and get to a conclusion that is important information for the requirement. So that is a joint coordination. So the elicitation and the collaboration knowledge area describes the task and the and basic and whatever the bold keywords you are identifying here, just mark those one, because going forward these keywords would be having important connections. The elicitation and the collaboration knowledge area describes the task that BA performs to obtain information from stakeholders and confirm the results. It also describes the communication with the stakeholders once the business analysis information is assembled. Collaboration is the act of two or more people working together toward a common goal. Elicitation and collaboration work is never a phase in business analysis. Rather, it's ongoing as long as business analysis work is occurring. Elicitation and collaboration can be planned and or both. So planned is something that in advance or you organize some meetings, and then on stipulated or the scheduled time that meeting happens or that event occurs, and then the information is or you discuss with the stakeholders and document the information. Unplanned is something that it's not planned, that is not scheduled, and suddenly when you just discussed any information with any of the stakeholders, then the responsibility of a business analyst is to document that unplanned information in a documented form to make it more formal for the later reference, or it could be both, like planned or unplanned. So what are the tasks and the activities that occurs in this knowledge area, which is elicitation and the collaboration? So we have prepare for elicitation, uh, then we have conduct elicitation, then we have confirm elicitation result, communicate business analysis information, manage stakeholder collaboration. So preparation for the elicitation. It's like ensuring that the stakeholders have the information they need to provide. For an example, understand in that way that you have organized a meeting without any prior background that why this meeting is occurring. So what would happen, even though you have invited the stakeholders in that meeting, but if they don't know what information they have to give us, so it would be like do you end up with the meeting, you gain nothing from that meeting, because nobody is aware of, nobody know what information they have to give us. So for that, in order to avoid all such scenarios or situation, things should be planned in advance. So the prepare for elicitation is related to that part only, that you ensure that the stakeholders have the information they need to provide. Conduct elicitation. It's a second activity. It's like understand stakeholders' need and identify potential solution they may meet those needs. Then confirm elicitation results. So whatever information you have documented for the requirement, that information the business analyst has to verify or confirm against the information that they seek from that they obtained from the different stakeholder or from the other sources like the documents or the historical references. So business analyst confirm or verify that information. The elicited information is recorded. This task also involves comparing the information received with other information to look for inconsistencies or gaps. Communicate business analysis information. So communicate is like the information you have gathered. Now that information, once you have conducted, confirmed the elicitation result, now the responsibility is to communicate that information back to the stakeholders. Provides stakeholders with the information they need at the time they need it. Or it could be like not only that information, but it could be possible that the stakeholders might be seeking the information that is linked with the requirement for them to come up with more information. So you have to provide that information at the right time, in a right time, right place, so that you get right information at the right time. Manage stakeholder collaboration, engage stakeholders in the overall business analysis process, and to ensure that the business analyst can deliver the outcomes needed. So here, elicitation and collaboration. We were talking about this first activity, that is prepare for elicitation, and the inputs that you need in advance is needs and the stakeholders engagement approach. Since we have talked about that the collaboration happens and you communicate the information to the stakeholders, so you know that the stakeholder engagement approach, that's a second activity of the business analysis planning and monitoring, which talks about the communication and flow of the information between the stakeholders, the medium and different format of the information the stakeholder seeks. Prepare for elicitation, and then you get elicitation activity plan. So what the purpose of prepare for elicitation? It is to understand the scope of the elicitation activity, select appropriate techniques. The purpose of the prepare for elicitation is to understand the scope of the elicitation activity, the appropriate techniques that you are using during the elicitation, and the procure appropriate supporting materials and the resources. Just for an example, a small analogy. So whenever you are preparing, suppose you are organizing one meeting, that would be kind of a requirement discovery meeting, you can understand in that way. So prior to that, you have to identify the place where you want to organize that meeting. Obviously, you have to book the room in advance, and then you will look forward like, okay, if the stakeholders are there and they have to showcase some information, present some information or a presentation, then you have to arrange for a projector or a screen, big screen. And then if there is something that user has to do some mind mapping, like put some information on a board and then create some raw draw or something. So in order to do that, you should have a board with some markers and all. If there is a hot weather, then you have to organize for the fans or the ACs and all. So everything you have to manage prior organizing the meeting. So this is something related to that. Or suppose the different users having different roles, they are participating in that meeting, and sometime you have to refer based on the roles. So obviously you would be telling the stakeholders to open the tool or the application and log in. So before that, you have to secure the login login for each stakeholders, or the tool, or the software installation. So all those such in things comes under the appropriate supporting materials and the resources. Now, what are the inputs and the guidelines? So we need the we in order to do prepare for the elicitation, you should know about the needs and stakeholder engagement approach. So needs. So even if you don't know about the needs, elicitation is also done in to find out the exact need as well. So elicitation can be used to discover the needs, but in order to get started, there must be some need that exists, even if it has not yet been fully elicited or understood. Then we have stakeholder engagement approach, understanding stakeholders, communication and collaboration needs. And this is from our, the second knowledge area that we have covered, BAPM, and this is the second activity of that knowledge area. Then we perform this activity, prepare for elicitation, and we get elicitation activity plan. Prior to that, we have few other inputs in terms of the guidelines and the tools. So we have business analysis approach, and this is basically a general methodology. Remember, if you remember that we talked about the predictive or adaptive approaches. So that's a general methodology, the type of the stakeholders that is involved, the list of stakeholders who will be participating, timing of the work when the task will be performed, expected format, how the information will be gathered and in which format that need to be stored, and level of details of the elicitation result. So this is uh, as per the business analysis approach, this information is provided. Then the business objective. So business objective is basically a goal. So desired direction needed to achieve the future state. Existing business analysis information may may provide a better understanding of the goals of the elicitation activity. Then we have potential value, describes the value to be realized by implementing the proposed future state. And then we finally achieve elicitation activity plan. And this is basically, it includes logistics, scope of the elicitation activity, the selected techniques and supporting material. Then the important elements that falls in this activity. So first is understand the scope of elicitation. To determine the type of business analysis information to be discovered during the elicitation activity and the technique that may be used. So business analysts consider these many factors are there. So please understand and memorize some of these, because a question may come which might be related to these factors. So business, first is business domain. So if a business domain is related to the finance, then the business analyst might have the skill and the information and know the terminologies related to the finance. If the business domain is software development and it's an IT, then the BA should know about the terminologies and the versions of the softwares and the application platform and all. So this is very important for the business analyst to understand the, to do a more research and analysis, you should know about those things. Overall corporate culture and the environment, because corporate culture is basically like, if people are not ready to develop any application or not ready to give information, so it's unnecessary to invite such stakeholders if in such meetings. So, and also the hierarchy of the organization, how the people is, how the people is, the structure is organized, how the reporting structure is, how people is reporting, what sort of, camaraderie is between the stakeholders. So all those factors comes into play when you solicit the information from them. Stakeholder location is another important factor. Stakeholders who are involved in their group dynamics, expected outputs the elicitation activities will feed. uh, Expected outputs the elicitation activities will feed. So the information that you the output that you are getting from this activity, what other activities are there that need the output that is uh, provided by this prepare for elicitation activity, that you need to identify. Skills of the business analyst, analysis practitioner, other elicitation activities planned to complement this one, strategy or solution approach, scope of future solution, possible source of the BA information that might feed into the specific elicitation activity. Second element, we have selection of the elicitation technique. The techniques used dependent on cost and time constraint, type of business analysis information, sources and their access, culture of the organization and the desired outcome. Business analyst may also factor in the needs of the stakeholders, their availability and their location. So assume this way that stakeholder says, I would not be available in a meeting room. So obviously you have to schedule a meeting that can be possible online or via some other medium. Business analyst may also factor in the needs of the stakeholders, their availability, their location. Choosing the right techniques and ensuring each technique is performed correctly is extremely important to the success of the elicitation activity. Techniques commonly used in similar initiatives, techniques specifically suited to the situation and tasks needed to prepare, execute and complete each technique. Then we have a third element, that is setup logistics. So you hope you able to relate those keywords, because in a beginning I said like whatever I marked in a bold, just um, keep them as a reference. Setup logistics, the activities, goals, participant and their roles, scheduled resources, including people, rooms and the tools, the location, communication channels, the techniques, language, just related with any meeting. So the goal of that meeting, people who will be invited in that meeting and what are their roles, scheduled resources, if anything is been need to be presented there, so those resources should be available, like the presentation, the documents, the references, including people, room and the tools. Obviously you need a room, location where the meeting is organized, communication channel, how the communication is being set up there, techniques, what other techniques is being used, languages used by stakeholders, oral or written. The logistic may also involve creating an agenda if other stakeholders are involved. Then we have secure supporting material. BA identify sources of information that are needed to conduct the elicitation activity. Lot of information needed to conduct elicitation, including people, system, historical data, material, and documents. Documents could include existing system documents, relevant business rules, organization policies, regulation, and contracts. BA procure or develop the materials and tools needed. Additional planning for experimental elicitation might be required if new tools, equipments, or techniques are going to be used. Then we have the last one is prepare stakeholders. So BM may need to educate stakeholders on how an elicitation technique works or what information is needed. Stakeholders may be unresponsive or challenging during an elicitation activity if they feel that it is not aligned to their individual objectives, don't understand the purpose. Then in such scenario, what happen, like stakeholders may be resistive, would not be involved or showing any interest in the this meeting or elicitation. So in such scenarios, the business analyst has to handle the has to handle and corresponding to this scenario only, there might be few questions that would come in your CBAP examination. So how would you handle that situation? And then there would be some the options below. In preparing for elicitation, the BA should ensure that there is a buy-in from all necessary stakeholders. BA may also prepare stakeholders by requesting that they review supporting materials prior to the elicitation activity in order to make it as effective as possible. An agenda might be provided in advance to support stakeholders in coming prepared to the activity with the necessary frame of mind and information. Eliciting through research or exploration may be a solo activity for the BA and not require preparing other stakeholders. So who are the stakeholders that participate in this activity? DSME, domain subject matter expert, provide supporting material for source info. The project manager suggests relevant people and the resources for the elicitation. And the sponsor who approve or deny elicitation activity or event. Then we have what techniques we use for this activity. And since this is preparation, the elicitation, so just you have to like do a brainstorming to identify and reach consensus about which sources of business analysis information should be consulted and which elicitation technique might be most effective. You do data mining used to identify information or patterns that require further investigation. Then we have document analysis used to identify and assess candidate sources of supporting material. Estimation used to estimate the time and efforts required for the elicitation and the associated cost. Interviews you conduct used to identify concerns about the planned elicitation and can be used to seek authority to proceed with specific options. Mind mapping used to collaboratively identify and reach consensus about which sources of business analysis information should be consulted and which elicitation technique might be most effective. Risk analysis and management used to identify, assess, and manage conditions or situations that could disrupt the elicitation or affect the quality and validity of the elicitation result. The plans for the elicitation should be adjusted to avoid transfer or mitigate the most serious risk. Stakeholder list, map, or personas used to determine who should be consulted while preparing for the elicitation, who should participate in the event, and appropriate roles for each stakeholders. So that's it. So we are done with our first activity in the elicitation and collaboration knowledge area. I hope you are liking my videos and you are getting information and that would help you in preparing for your CBAP examination. Please keep subscribing and keep liking my videos and the channel so that in near future, whenever I am publishing any new video, you would be getting it as early as possible. Thanks for watching. I'll connect you back you in the next meeting. Till then, take care.